We quite acknowledge the fact that Nigeria has one of the lowest CapEx to reserve ratio, but a number of the factors that we have highlighted are actually responsible for this. So quite unarguably, there is change in energy map, and Nigeria, of course, is serving its own share of the impact of this change in energy map. The Commission has continued, like I said, to pivot upstream petroleum sector in the right course through its 10-year strategic plan that is drawn from year 2023 to 2033. And this plan was unveiled in May 2023, as well as the 25 forward-thinking, technically and commercially viable priority regulations that the NUPRC has developed in collaboration with industry stakeholders. The Commission has established a dedicated contact team who liaises periodically with industry stakeholders on matters related to, that is fine-tuning the regulations. The Commission liaising with the OPTS, the IPPG industry is facing with a view to actually addressing all these challenges. You have a regulator that is very dynamic in thinking, and it is equally collaborating with the industry stakeholders in making the regulation and ensuring that the regulation we put in place is not without it's not devoid of a human face. The Commission has been working assiduously to ensure that the Petroleum Industry Act is effectively implemented for growth in oil and gas reserves, as well as achieving the national average daily production target set at 2.5 million barrels of oil and gas condensate per day in the near term. The oil and gas reserves in Nigeria represents 30% and 34% of the African oil and gas reserves, respectively. We recognize that there is ability in disability. While there is a gap between the technical allowable of about 2.2 million barrels a day, the OPEC benchmark of 1.5 million, and our current total production of 1.6 million barrels that I talked about. This gap, while we are doing everything to pivoting the industry aright to close this gap in spite of the challenges. So we believe that this gap presents a very good opportunity for investment. But this is the lesson to learn from slide 8. So the gap there becomes a window of opportunity for potential investors that I'm seeing here to actually work collaboratively with the regulator to close that gap, so that by the time we are reporting here next year, we possibly will be touching the blue line. Nigeria is blessed with potentials for green and blue hydrogen, solar, wind, biomass, all in the right mix. With a coastline along the Gulf of Guinea, market size of 200 million consumers, projected to reach between 390 million and 440 million people by 2050. Nigeria represents hope for Africa. Indeed, Nigeria's potential are derived from its human, natural, and material resources, which must be mobilized to propel her on a path of economic growth and development for a sustainable energy future. For us as a regulator, we are not in the business of talking. We are not offering talk service. So a regulator is a technocrat who plans and diligently executes to get results. We've identified the challenges and we put in place a number of key initiatives, which driving collaboratively with the industry, we feel will take us to the desired destination in the industry. You recall we put in place the metering regulation, so we are the phase of implementation of, that is the first phase of that regulation, which will take us to actually carrying out technical integrity audit of the metering facilities in the industry. And the intent is to ensure that all meters work in line with the industry allowable errors. It is the obligation of licensees to put in place the meters, but the law equally prescribe it as a mutual obligation for the Commission to prescribe the manner in which the meters should be deployed. So it is equally implied that these meters will work within industry allowable limits. So now we are going into a phase of ensuring that all the meters in place, the large units, work within industry allowable limits. Also, another initiative the Commission is taking is equally to ensure that only licensees operators with adequate financial capacity play in the Nigeria upstream. And we are ensuring this by closely monitoring the financial capability, viability of the operators. So the next part of this presentation is that I'll be revealing success stories, which we are very, very proud about. A total of 51 FDPs were approved in the year, that is in the preceding year, between 2022 and 2023, expected to attract a total investment of about 17 billion USD inflow, as well as deliver cumulative oil recovery and gas recovery estimated at 2.12 billion barrels in the next 5 years. We recognize as the regulator that for us to develop our NAC feed, we need to make intentional and deliberate effort in terms of addressing the fiscals. I want to assure that very, very soon, I'm unable to disclose the specific date, but I know for sure there has been, that is concerted effort in achieving this. So this is good news that I think the industry should be expecting. A total of 2.5 billion investment in 175 wells drilling in the year 2022 to 2023, and a total of 2.68 billion investment for 842 well workovers and other well intervention activities in the same period. We will equally result in increased average oil production. I need to share that as part of the initiative we put in place in the Commission, we have been able to develop metrics by which we measure, that is CAPEX expenditures in the industry, just as we have commenced to measure financial viability of licensees. The Commission has intensified efforts in collaborating with investors, including IOCs, to ensure accelerated maturation and development of some high-volume deep offshore assets. Despite the low emissions attributed to Nigeria compared to the global total, we are not resting on our efforts. The Commission is effectively spearheading the national drive to achieve zero clear target by year 2030 and net zero carbon emissions by year 2060. We are aware that as at now, the Commission has issued award letters to awardees, and we're expecting the awardees to move to site. To site in this respect. So it just remains for me to again use this opportunity to seek cooperation of our stakeholders to please cooperate for us to successfully implement this very important program, being a climate action program for the nation. The Commission has also made significant strides in the realm of innovation. Over the past 3 years, we have embarked on process automation and digitization of our processes, all tailored towards improving our processes and reducing cost. On the host community side, we are proud to say that we have, as at date, incorporated 103 host community trust, which is equally part of our successes that can be celebrated, believing that peace in the host community will help in improving as we all strive to ramp up oil production. So we need harmonious operating environment, and we implore operators to please fund this host community development trust. As at now, we've recorded about 52% funding for this host community development trust. With social inclusivity, it is the best panacea that we have seen as a regulator for peace in the host community, and it is social inclusivity is the best form of security that we can have in the host community. So it is very key that operators cooperate with the Commission in this respect. We, acting on behalf of the government of Nigeria as the regulator of the upstream, we recognize that divestment is the right of licensees to or operators to divest. It's a business decision purely. But in doing so, the position of the regulator is that the divestment must follow, due process, and for that reason, we have put in place robust divestment processes, which we believe that if followed, will be in the interest of the government, the host communities, the seller, and the buyer. So what we are doing as a regulator is to ensure that both the buyer, the seller, and of course the government and the host community, that we are all on the same page. Let the message be taken home that the regulator is in no way trying to be a showstopper in this respect. We are working collaboratively with the parties to the divestment to ensure that the robust regulatory processes that have been put in place intuitively by the NUPRC is followed.